A lot of times in life, when things are just not going your way, it can be very disappointing. And like you could feel like there's nothing you can do. You're up against the wall. Maybe somebody's pissing you off. Things are driving you nuts. I don't know. You feel like there's nothing that you're gonna be able to do. But sometimes, especially when it comes to speaking with other people and dealing with other people, a lot of the time you definitely shouldn't be focused on what they shouldn't do. You know, trying to tell people, whether it be your son, your daughter, your friend, an enemy, an acquaintance, coworker, anything like that. When you're pointing out something negative and you're asking that person to stop doing that or to change their behavior, it it's not going to be as effective as asking them to do what it is you would like them to do. So let's give an example. One of your coworkers, every time he eats lunch, he's always chewing with his mouth open. He's just slapping away, jaws slapping. Things are just untenable, untenable. You can't deal with that stuff. So instead of telling this guy, dude, what's going on? You're always smacking your jaw every time you're eating. You gotta stop, man. That's annoying. What about if you were to say to him, hey, pal, is there any way that I can get you? Sometimes this is where, it's a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit more difficult, but you're going to have to finagle these things. You're going to have to think it out, Like maybe what's the benefit? What's the benefit of this guy not slapping his jaw? All right. Let's say the angle that he's a ladies guy. Maybe you could tell him that that's not proper etiquette. A lady's not going to like that. No lady's gonna be liking a dude that's smacking his jaw like he's a cow. So anyway, you can find a different angle. Maybe also just asking nicely, and being like, could you please not do that? But even still, telling people what not to do is something in life that is definitely less effective than telling people what to do. What to do is always the better route. What not to do is always, there's just something about the human condition that when you tell somebody not to do something, it's saved. It's saved as ammunition for sure. And if there's somebody close to you, you will definitely find very often those things that you tell other people bother you. Those things will come back to be used against you for sure. When they need to bother you, they will then do those things to piss you off. So you definitely want to be a little more calculated about how you go through those interactions when things are bothering you. And I can give you a lot of personal experience from being married, being in relationships. Sometimes we just get irritable, and in the moment, sometimes you're not constructive and you're destructive. You can be destructive. So try to always make that constructive, where instead of, telling somebody that they're dirty and they need to clean up, just asking them if they can do that. Could you pick that up? You want to help? Could you help me with this or whatever it might be, instead of telling them they're doing something wrong or that they need to do something, giving orders, whatever it might be. There's a flip to everything, and you could definitely get a lot more with honey and sugar than you can with vinegar. So sometimes that's a little bit cliche, but there is a reason that these things are said, and they're kind of repeated down through generations and everything like that. So you would be wise to listen to sayings that have stood the test of time. That's for sure. Now, I know I don't really go into introductions and everything, but I would like to say welcome any new viewers, any new people here. I am a homebound chef, married, going on be 3 years this year. I'm very happy with that. There's been a lot of progression in many ways and a lot of regression in many ways. Now, I was not disabled prior to 2022, but I've been stricken with multiple sclerosis, which is an affliction um, that affects my brain and spinal cord. It's where my immune system is actually attacking my nervous system. So my B cells in my immune system are attacking my nerves, specifically the myelin sheath in the nerve endings, which protects the nerve endings. And it wears away the myelin sheath, and then basically my nerves I have severe nerve damage on my brain and spinal cord. So I'm really not able to do basically everything is hindered for me. Thankfully, I'm capable of doing everything, but with extreme limits. And I mean, walking is not even something that I can do for the most part. It's extremely difficult. I can barely get up the stairs. It requires an amount of effort, coordination, and focus that you just would never think of in everyday life. Like I mean, 2 years ago, I was running half a mile, every other day. So this is something that's really put me on a different pace in life. And, sometimes you got to adjust speeds. You really do. And it's been tearing me apart in many ways. But like many things, if you sit in that and you let it, it's going to consume you. If you really just sit in that and think of everything that couldn't be and all the negative and it's not going to get you anywhere. So I really just started to orient myself in a way that was a little bit more modest and approachable from my new position, maybe 3 feet shorter in a wheelchair. So it's it's something, it's really given me perspective on how much I had prior to this, and I took it for granted in that way. At least in some ways. I'm happy I did all my running, and I used to love walking. I used to, instead of taking the bus or even the train home, that's how far sometimes, I'd be walking multiple miles home, no problem. So I was always happy about that. Got my time out. Now we're going to Accessoride, we're going to Uber. We're pretty much going pure automobile and no walking because I've been falling like crazy, everything like that. It's been very difficult, but the adjustment has been welcomed to a degree because sometimes in life when doors close, it's not that you should really see it as, that's the end of something. It's that there is a lot more possibilities. And I was trying to force myself in the door and really stay in the culinary field and try to keep going with something physical. I've always been doing physical work. I've been in retail. I've done, some blue collar jobs, low voltage. We were doing IT work. Uh, I mean, line cooks, chef, all types of different jobs. I mean, retail, we did multiple things in retail. A lot of different stuff. Honestly, can't even go over it. But at this point now in my life, I've worked like 34 different jobs and everything, and I forgot what we were going on to here, talking about something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting lost there on that, but yeah. Sometimes it's just you gotta put your boots on and go to work and do stuff that you really, okay, here you go. Sometimes, you know, you're doing stuff that you really don't want to do. That's a lot of life, and you're getting through that, But sometimes you have this itch, and it's like you can't. There's nothing that can scratch that. You try different things, you're working different jobs, but there's like something going on. And with me, it was the fact that I had health problems that were adding up. And with multiple sclerosis, it can be very difficult to diagnose it based upon symptoms, because the symptoms can be something as simple as dizziness, being uncoordinated, unbalanced when you close your eyes, or there's many, many, many things. Sleeplessness. There's a lot of symptoms for multiple sclerosis, but the one thing that pretty much spots it for sure is when they can do an MRI of your brain and your spine. If there's lesions, that's pretty much a sure sign that something's going on. And then that would likely lead them to multiple sclerosis. But, I had nothing that really was standing out until my left arm went completely numb, and then my right leg pretty much have an intense foot drop where I can't pick up the front of my foot. So noticeable, very noticeable changes that I had to go check out. And then it really made me notice that, thank God I caught these things and I took them seriously, because I was falling. I was falling a lot at work, but these things were, I was ignoring it. I was pushing through. I'm a young man. I can deal with sprains. I can deal with falling down and, having these things happen, hit my head and stuff. No problem. Yeah, keep going to work. Keep giving yourself for this dream that you have, and really ultimately I'm falling apart. So thank God I spent the time. When that door closed, it was devastating. And there was more stuff after that. I was at the peak of my career, was actually leading a New York City commissary kitchen, feeding over 1 million homeless and disenfranchised in New York that had access to these hubs that were giving out these free meals. And this was during COVID, so again, even more instrumental at a time like that. So I was really proud of what I was doing. I was very happy with that position, and it just, things did not work out, and I was devastated once I had to go in the route, a different route, and it led me to finding out that I had multiple sclerosis. And really, things were very tough. It took a very difficult transition. Things are still very tough, but obviously, once you get used to living in different in a precarious situation, you kind of get used to that. So I don't know if things just are better. Tend to think they are, but anyway, things could always be better, right? We always feel like that. We're always striving to make things better. So yeah, anyway, constantly pushing to get things to be better. But thankfully, they are better. Had to fight for a long time to get my disability, or still I'm in that process, but I didn't use any lawyers. We're still appealing it. We're in a long process here trying to get that stuff through. We've applied for a lot of different things with the city. I'm really not able to work, because if I do anything to jeopardize the disability, it's not going to work out well. I can't do like much of anything right now. So I really am counting on the disability, as well as the fact that I need the health insurance along with the disability, because my medical bills are out of this world. We're talking $12,000 to $13,000 a month. So it's extremely expensive to be able to get treated for the condition I have. So I have to make sure that I it's the craziest thing when you're on government assistance. Like they don't allow you to do anything. You're extremely hampered. You're not allowed to work, and they do allow you to work, but over a certain limit. And it starts coming off of your benefits, as well as the fact that, I mean, if you have disability, any type of work that you do could be considered that you're not disabled then, which is ridiculous. So, these safety nets that we have in place, it's nice the fact that they exist and we have them, but to the same degree, there's oversights for sure, because I'm a young man who can definitely do something, but I require the support of the disability as a just a fundamental foundation that I cannot get through my everyday life without a basic level of help that is required. I require support extra that is like, it's beyond what I can do myself. So unfortunately, I do have to ask for something beyond what I am capable of. And in that case, they're then taking away the rest of my ability. Like, I still have a brain, I still have hands that, I can do, but they only allow me a certain amount of time that I can work. Either that, or it's going to just totally disqualify me because of the fact that I'm actually working and having an income. But again, I would need to make $144,000 a year minimum just to be able to pay for a sustainable condition, because without the DMT, the disease modifying therapy that I'm taking, my condition, it's already on a decline. Within a year, I went from jogging or running a mile every other day to now being able not to walk for the most part. I cannot walk half of a block without having to sit or have assistance. So it's extremely difficult. There's been a rapid decline in my quality of life. And, I'm fighting for this disability for over a year now. I'm doing it all myself. There's all this other stuff that I'm involved with. I mean, forget it. I mean, there's just so much bull crap that people have to go through that have a disability, and it's not right, man. It's really not right. I'm happy and I'm grateful for the opportunities and everything that is on offer to me. But at the same time, I'm not going to settle for that. Sorry. I'm not going to settle for that, because the system is ultimately, there's flaws that need to be worked on for sure. And I mean, I'm not going to go into all the details about that, but I gave you a little rundown with where it's messed up, And then a lot of it falls on the state too, because New York City is very poorly managed. Absolutely. It's just a poop show right now. An absolute poop show. That's for sure. Things are falling apart left and right. There's continual rampant crime on the rise. So, yeah, batten down the hatches, fill up those stocks, keep everything on a good level. Make sure that you're always ready for everything. And to be honest, I mean, the fun's only just begun this year. The fun has only just begun. We had a snowstorm the other day. We got the CIA coming down with some big news. Not good. Not looking good for them. FBI, CIA, their credibility, stocks going down. That's for sure. But in good news, the people continue to push on, make it through another day. And I hope everybody's been doing all right for the most part. Don't mean to get you scared, excited, but this year is gonna be a good one. Things are already starting off with a bang. We got Mayorkas, which I didn't know. Don't know if you know. Secretary of Homeland Security, Mayorkas, is out of there. First dude impeached in a while, and for good measure, good reason. Nobody will miss that man doing a terrible job, absolutely terrible. But, you know, don't let the door hit you on the way out, or actually let it like blast you on the way out. In fact, let it like break the back of your skull, you know. Basically, just as you'll be just as effective as you were prior to that point, because really you weren't doing anything. But on that note, we're gonna send it off. Appreciate you all listening. Oh, look, we're gonna end it on the same footnote here, the same background. Anyway, appreciate you all listening. Thank you. Like this, please subscribe, like, share, send it to a friend. Anyway, appreciate you all. We'll be back with more content